All right, all right. So, welcome to the Heard You, Beloved podcast. It's been a minute that I've been talking about wanting to start this thing, and time has come. I'm finally going to commit to it. So, obviously, I'm starting from the ground up. I'm not in the studio. I don't have a microphone. I don't have a booth or anything like that where I have a central location as to where I'm going to record my episodes. But right now I'm at a friend's house. It's quiet at least. And thankfully I'm not outside doing this because y'all know I spend a lot of time outside because of my living situation. But later on in the podcast, I'll get into that. But as far as the introduction to this thing, what I plan on doing with this is creating a space where I'm doing two things, right? Discussing mental wellness, not necessarily mental health, because mental health is attached to, discussing depression and things of that nature. But I want to create a space where I'm checking in, right? Testing the waters in terms of where people at week to week, seeing how people's week have gone, and also asking people like, this one question I like to ask just in general, like what's one or two things that you've done for yourself to ensure that you're okay? Like, what is one thing you've done to take, let's say, 15 minutes just to yourself? Did you sit down and write in a journal? Did you turn off your phone and meditate? Did you take a shower, a hot shower or a bath, and put on some calming music? Did you take a walk? Did you have a conversation with a friend to vent or get advice on something? Like what's one thing you've done for yourself to ensure that you're mentally well? Right? And secondly, I want to make a foundation or set the ground where I'm putting out motivational videos, quote of the days type situation, centered around ensuring that people are checking themselves. Like, where are you at? Is there something that you went through, somebody said to you, something that you experienced visually, a text, a phone call that shifted your energy? Because, for example, I know in terms of self-care or self-checking, people usually say how you start your day determines how your day is going to go, right? So for the morning, if your routine is, I'm not going to turn my phone on until 2 hours after I wake up so that I can first meditate, so I can put on some whatever type of music, binaural beats, you put on any type of calming music. So you take your shower. If you have your routine where you're making a smoothie or you're drinking coffee, you're doing your exercise, you're taking your shower. You're not necessarily turning on the TV to watch the news. Oh my God, what's going on in the world? No, you're checking your energy first to ensuring that you're good so that you can go out into the world and deal with people, energy, different frequencies and different things, right? So I want to kind of center this around that. Later on, my plan is to have other guests on here who are either my friends, who are entrepreneurs and things of that nature, so that I can have conversations with them just to check in. Like, how did you get from where you're at now to where you were before? Like, what was your journey like? I know we all have different stories. We all do different things in life, but I really want to center this around those type of conversations. You understand? And also, I think I said I was going to do two things, but thirdly, I want to do like this social commentary piece where I find a video of either somebody discussing a topic or something that affects people in my community, right? Me, I'm Honduran. So I'm black, I'm Latino. People in my family, in my bloodline, are Indians, Native Americans, and things of that nature. So there's a number of things. I'm a person of color, right? So I want to discuss different type of topics that affects us in our community. And lastly, I want to ensure that I'm putting out messages that can even inspire people that are younger than me, because I'm in my 30s now. And whether or not y'all know it or not, I used to be in youth development case management work for over 10 years, right? So I work with young people who are in foster care, who've been in juvenile justice, who've been part of being in the criminal just or being in the criminal justice system, so in prison and jail, or affected by it, have family members, fathers, mothers, or what have you, that they're a product of that due to your environment, right? And in my work later on, I officially became what's known as a credible messenger, a mentor, which is a person with lived experience and dealing with clientele who are dealing with some of the things that affected me, being as I'm their old elder, or a person who has lived experience in being from the same communities or what have you, right? I mainly worked in the Bronx, and I've worked at several different organizations that centered around youth services work. So I wasn't necessarily a social worker per se. So I wasn't necessarily dealing with entire families, doing home visits and things of that nature. However, my job centered around, one, I'm either in the office, so the young people are coming to me and my programs. Either we're doing workshops centered around independent living skills, developing those skills, or restorative justice practices, right? So we're sitting in a circle and have a theme, a topic, or a word of the day or quote of the day type situation. And we'll check in with the young people to see where they're at in life. We'll open the floor to let them discuss, what are you going through right now? Is there any issues you're having right now that is pulling you away from your short-term and long-term goals? Excuse me, I'm a little nervous, so I'm kind of stumbling a little bit or stuttering. How can me, as your mentor or other co-mentors or your peers, the people around you, help you in getting past this? Because whatever it is you're going through is temporary. Don't let this deter you from your vision. With these young people, we will go over short-term and long-term goals. So probably a 30, 60, 90-day type situation, and then a 3 to 6 month type situation, because they only was with us for, I think, 6 to 9 months, up to a year. But that's how we work that, all right? So we are familiar with their case. We get them in a program, and then we work towards something. So I did that for years. That specific type of work for about 5 years, 6 years. And prior to that, I was what's called an independent living specialist in the foster care department of a certain agency, where I dealt with young people between the ages of 13 up until 24, helping them get through the foster care process. So whether it's that them being either them being adopted, either them being I forget the word, going back to their families, right? Going back to their mother and father. It starts with an R, reunification. So that's going back to your family, whether that's your parents or your grandparents, or independent living, right? So you're in foster care for whatever amount of time, and then for whatever reason, you don't get adopted. So the goal is you're here up until you're 21 or age out. So us ensuring that these young people have vital documents, birth certificates, social security cards, IDs, credit card, checking accounts, ensuring that they're staying in school, ensuring that they're consistent with that, and ultimately ensuring that before they age out, they're putting in the certain things so that they can have an apartment and are ready to live on their own. So I'll stop there. That's a little bit about my background and why I have this energy about myself, right? It comes to me naturally. I didn't necessarily have to go to school to be this person that I am, have this energy or this character, these characteristics about myself. Because of my life experiences, it taught me to slow down and be very mindful of what's going on around me, what's going on around with the people that are in my vicinity, who I keep in my circle, and to ensuring that I'm not allowing what's going on internally affect the people around me. Although we all go through things. Yeah, I've had situations where I've had issues where I forgot that. I forgot to check in with self first. So I'm walking around, coming around people, and basically, what do you call it? I'm blanking on the word. Like mirroring and showing my insecurities. Why am I blanking on the word? But it's situations where what's going on internally was spewing out into other people. And it made me present a certain way when in my mind or inside, I didn't want to necessarily do that. However, because I'm not checking in with self, or I didn't have adequate amount of people or things around me to ground me and slow me down to ensuring that I'm not being selfish in situations, right? To where I'm either making people uncomfortable or pushing people to the point where they're telling themselves, I don't want to mess with E no more. They won't necessarily say it to my face, but just based off of, you might check somebody or see something and you see, okay, this person is either being triggered, I'm making this person uncomfortable, I'm probably doing too much, or I'm being erratic or what have you. So me not checking in with self burnt bridges. It kind of made some of my relationships and friendships, which I probably had over 10, 15 years since I was a boy, be different now that we're older, because I'm a single man. I don't have any children. There's other people who are my friends who are now fathers, multiple children. They have their own home. They have their own girlfriend, wife, fiance, what have you. They have their own lives. And just because I'm their friend doesn't give me the right to interfere with their space, right? It doesn't give me a right to intrude in me saying me, and throwing that baggage onto them when they didn't necessarily open up space for me to do that to them, if that makes sense, right? You got to ask permission and check in. Can I vent to you? Do you have time to discuss this? Or when can we meet over lunch, dinner, or can I come to the house, or we could go sit outside, we could take a walk? For me to get something off my chest, you have to ask that permission and not just feel like you're entitled to just pop up at somebody's house or in their face and just spill over to them. Meanwhile, they're like, oh my God, all this is going on. I might not necessarily be the person you should be talking to. Maybe you need some professional help, which is some of the answers that I've received, or which sometimes is how people respond. Like, I'm not ready to deal with all this. Seek help, go to therapy. Right? So you want to ask permission. And I think I'll stop right there. This is going on 15 minutes. I do want to keep my episodes at 15 minutes, tops 20 minutes. But that's what I'm trying to do with this thing, is the Heard You Beloved podcast. And y'all know I used to say that a lot. Heard you. When somebody say something to me, besides you saying, the usual cool, okay, got you. My thing was heard you, because I heard you the first time. And I used to say beloved. I used to call people beloved all the time. And that's how I came up with my name for the podcast. And yeah, I hope y'all stick around with me. For all the people that know me on a personal tip, this is my own venture. I'm finally doing something by myself. Y'all always know that I'm the person that's in the background, want to get people together, get minds together, and do things as a group. And now it's my time to shine and do this thing on my own, so y'all can get a better sense of how I do things or whatever, or what have you. But this is my thing, and I'm going to run with this. I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to try to be consistent. Y'all all know my living situations is different, but things are getting better for me on that end. And I want to take this places. So please support me. Share the videos, subscribe, like, comment. Please comment. That's the biggest thing I want with this, is people to be in the comments, engaging with the material and the content I put out into the world, because that's what keeps the conversations going. You might write a comment that's specific to you, but another 20 people might see your comment and you empower them or inspire them and help them shift their energy. So it's the domino effect type situation. So yeah, man, I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to this journey with y'all. Again, this is Eric J. West with the Heard You Beloved podcast. I'm stuttering and my words is all over the place. And I'm checking out. I appreciate y'all. One.